Hallmark Charlotte Greenwood Show.
Welcome now to our show. Here's a friend you all know. Charlotte Greenwood is with us again.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Charlotte Greenwood is brought to you this Sunday and every Sunday at this time by the makers of Hallmark greeting cards to remind you that every time you want to remember someone, you'll find a Hallmark card that says just what you want to say the way you want to say it. So when you choose a card, look on the back for the 3 identifying words, a Hallmark card. Yes, don't forget, a Hallmark card will best express your perfect taste, your thoughtfulness. And here is our star, that lovable lady of stage, screen, and radio, Charlotte Greenwood. Now for our weekly visit to the city of Lakeview, the home of the 3 Barton children. It's a midweek evening as the story opens, and here in the living room, Charlotte is going over the household budget while young Jack Barton applies himself to his homework and Bobby studies the comics. But now Jack stops writing and says,
Gee, isn't it silly how a simple word sticks you? Say, Aunt Charlotte, are you pretty good at words?
Well, I'm like a lot of women. I've got a very small vocabulary with a very large turnover. What is the word, Jack?
Extinct.
Extinct. What a word to start off with.
Yeah, you know, something that used to be around a long time ago but has vanished from the face of the earth. How do you spell that?
That's simple. Butter.
Oh, Aunt Charlotte, butter hasn't vanished.
Well, it has around this house, Robert. Whenever I look at our ration books, I start singing Red Points, Why Are You Blue? I'm getting so I call a butterfly an oleo bug.
No, I've got to know how to spell extinct. I'm using it in my English theme.
You writing a theme about butter?
No, the teacher told us to write a theme on an original topic. And Gertrude Gleason gave me a keen idea. I'm writing a theme on man as an evolutionary phenomenon.
What's a phenomenon?
Phenomenon. It's a freakish occurrence.
Yeah? What are freakish currents?
Not currents, occurrence. That's something you don't see very often.
Oh, then you're writing about butter.
Aunt Charlotte, can't you make this kid brother of mine quit asking questions?
Well, Jack, if boys don't ask questions, you know what they grow up to be.
What?
Bachelors. Robert, evolution is the theory that man descended from monkeys.
Gee, honest? What did monkeys descend from?
Trees, and don't ask me what the trees descended from, or you'll have me out on a limb.
Honest, Aunt Charlotte, do they really think people descended from monkeys?
Yes, dear, and any private can point out the proof. Huh? His top sergeant.
I'm going to practice now, Aunt Charlotte.
All right, Barbara. Now, Jack, extinct is spelled E-X-T-I-N-C-T.
Thanks, Aunt Charlotte. Oh, Barbara, will you lay off? Good gosh, kid brothers asking questions, people pounding on the piano. How's a guy going to get any work done? I'm going upstairs. It's the only place a guy can get me quiet.
Goodness, what makes him so grumpy? Oh, he's trying to write something about monkeys.
No, Robert. Evolution. I don't know why in the world he picked out such a difficult topic, even if Gertrude Gleason did suggest it to him.
Oh, it's probably his teacher's fault. It's too bad he doesn't have somebody for English like Miss Coleman.
Miss Coleman?
Oh, she was wonderful.
I don't think I ever heard you mention her before.
Oh, I had her when I went to Miss Aintree School for Girls. Oh, that was 3 or 4 years ago, before you came to take care of it.
Miss Aintree School for Girls. I've seen that mentioned in the records of the Barton estate.
Yes, Dad was one of the directors before he passed on. He gave them a big endowment, too. But that didn't seem to make any difference to Miss Aintree when we lost our money.
You mean when you couldn't pay your tuition, you had to leave? Oh, dear.
Miss Coleman tried to arrange things so I could stay, but she couldn't. Oh, she was wonderful. With Mother gone, she was just about the best friend I had when all our trouble happened.
Hmm? There's nothing truer, darling. A friend in need is a friend indeed. All teachers should be mothers of heart. Is Miss Coleman still at the school?
I don't know, Aunt Charlotte. I sort of got out of touch with her. You know how it is. You get involved in more important things, and
Barbara, there's nothing more important than a friend.
Yeah, Yeah, you ought to call her up or something. I wouldn't know what to say. I'd be ashamed after neglecting her all these years.
Well, then drop her a note. Or on her birthday, send her a card.
But I don't even know when her birthday is.
Okay, send her a card anyway. Mark it, do not open till birthday.
Bobby, don't be silly.
That's not silly. She was your friend, wasn't she?
Just like Aunt Charlotte said, a friend indeed is a friend indeed.
Robert, I said a friend in need.
Oh, yeah, a friend in need is a friend in need.
Oh, you're still off the beam, Bobby.
Well, all right, but so are you if you don't send her a card. You better do what Aunt Charlotte tells you.
Oh, I will sometime.
Sometime.
Oh, I'll see who that is, Aunt Charlotte.
Hi, Barbara.
Oh, hello, Howard.
I just stopped by to talk to Jack. Is he home? Is he, huh? Is he?
Yes, he's upstairs. Jack, Howard Morton's here.
Right on.
Well, good evening, Howard.
Hi, Miss Greenwood. Nice night, ain't it, huh? Ain't it? Huh?
Lovely. Did you notice that nice big full moon?
Oh, yeah, I sure did. Gee, and I sure learned something in science class today. Do you know that the moon affects the tide? Isn't that interesting?
Yes, Howard, and the moon also affects the untide. That's even more interesting, isn't it, huh?
Hi, Howard. What you want?
Oh, hi, Jack. Oh, I just finished my English theme for tomorrow, and I thought I'd come over and see how you made out.
Oh, I got a theme that's going to knock the teacher for a loop. It's a very deep subject.
Not kidding. What is it, huh? What is it, huh?
Well, I'm not so sure that you can really dig it, Howard.
Well, if it's deep, he'll have to dig it.
You'll have to wait till I read it in class tomorrow.
Oh, well, I ain't proud. I'll tell you what my theme's about if you want. Do you? Huh? Do you?
Yes, I want. Mm-hmm. What is it, Howard?
Well, I call it Man as an Evolutionary Phenomenon.
Man, as a... Hey, you can't do that. That's my theme.
What you mean, yours? Gertrude Gleason gave me the idea.
She gave it to me, too.
What? For corn's sake. Ain't it awful what a girl can do to us men?
Yes, it takes nature 1,000,000 years to make a man out of a monkey, but it only takes a minute for a girl to make a monkey out of a man. Robert, have you finished your lunch?
Yeah, Aunt Charlotte. Gee, that fish chowder sure was good. Is it so that fish is a brain food?
Well, it certainly ought to be. Fish always travel in schools. You'd better be traveling back to school right now, young man.
Okay, Aunt Charlotte. I'm on my way. Hey, who's that funny-looking man with the glasses coming up the front walk?
I don't know, but I've seen friendlier eyes on a boiled potato. Run along, Robert. Scoot.
Okay, Aunt Charlotte. See you at the store.
Good afternoon, madam. Good afternoon. It is indeed fortunate that I encountered you so propitiously. I fancy that this is the Barton residence.
Yes, it is.
I see. Then I fancy that you are Mrs. Greenwood.
Yes, that's a fancy idea. But it's not Mrs. Greenwood, it's Miss Greenwood.
I'm so sorry.
You're sorry.
I see. Now, my name is Katie, Miss Greenwood. I'm a junior lingual professor at Miss Aintrie's School for Girls.
Oh. Do come in, Professor Katie.
Thank you.
Well, what a coincidence. My niece and I were talking about Miss Aintrie's school just last evening. What do you teach, Professor Katie?
I am an instructor in the Romance languages.
Languages for romance, eh? Well, that's something every girl ought to know.
Miss Greenwood, the Romance languages are Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, French, Provençal, Raeton, Romanic, and Romanian.
Well, those people are entitled to their fun as much as anybody else. Won't you sit down? No, over there.
I see. Thank you. Miss Greenwood, I came here to ask you, do you know a teacher at Miss Aintrie's school by the name of Miss Coleman?
That's funny. You know, she is the very person we were talking about. She was my niece's English teacher.
I see. And have you seen Miss Coleman recently?
No, I've never met her.
I see. And have you seen anyone, shall we say, connected with her?
Why, no.
And may I ask you, how many people are there in this house?
There are two.
And who are they?
You and me. You see?
Oh. I meant, how many live here?
Here? Well, I don't know why you want to know, but there are 4. My niece, my 2 nephews, and myself.
And with the boarder, there are 5.
Border? I have no border.
Miss Greenwood, it really isn't necessary to conceal the obvious.
Now, look, Professor Cady, I'm not concealing anything, and may I ask why all this questioning?
I'm sorry, but as long as you're withholding the information I desire, I am not at liberty to tell you anything. I'll bid you good day.
Good day, sir. And if you find it necessary to send anyone else here from the school, will you send a professor of mathematics?
A professor of mathematics?
Yes, I want somebody to help me figure this out.
Good evening, Miss Greenwood.
Oh, Judge Cronin, how nice.
Miss Greenwood, I've come here on a matter which may be rather important. I've just received a very interesting phone call from a certain young lady who's been trying to get me all day.
Oh, you naughty, naughty boy.
But you see, the call, Miss Greenwood, was from Miss Aintree of Miss Aintree School for Girls.
Not again.
Yes. Since I'm attorney for the Barton Estate, Miss Aintree requested that I ask you to call at her office tomorrow morning.
What for?
Well, she didn't say, but she did say it's extremely important.
Oh, how thrilling.
Thrilling?
Oh, I haven't been asked to the principal's office since I hit a boy in the nose when I was 9 years old. Judge Cronin, this makes me feel like a girl again.
Today is Mother's Day. It's a special day each year when we try to express our love for Mother. Try to express in a tangible way our gratitude for her lifelong devotion. So we bring gifts to Mother. We send her flowers. And because it's often difficult to find words for what we feel in our hearts, we say it with a lovely card. Yes, a beautiful Mother's Day card can speak for us. Can find the words for us to say just what we want to say, the way we want to say it. And that loving card is so important to Mother. Long after our flowers have wilted and our gifts have outlived their usefulness, we'll still find our Mother's Day card tucked away among her dearest treasures. Perhaps this is why so many mothers have been remembered with cards today. And in wartime especially, what a thoughtful thing it is to send those messages of love and reassurance to that one friend who never fails us, whose love abides with us always, our mother. Now back to our story. First, Charlotte received a mysterious and inquisitive visitor from Miss Aintree's School for Girls. Then a puzzling message to appear at Miss Aintree's office. So now Charlotte is just stepping into the headquarters of Lakeview's most exclusive girls' school as prim Miss Aintree looks up from her desk and says,
Yes? Is there something?
Yes, there's me. I'm Charlotte Greenwood.
Oh, are you really?
Uh-huh.
Just a moment. Hello. Connect me with Miss Coleman, please.
You don't mind if I sit down?
Please, not in that chair. That's a priceless antique.
Oh, that makes 3 of us.
I beg your pardon. What did you... Oh, hello, Miss Coleman. This is Miss Aintree. Will you kindly come into my office at once? Very well.
Will this chair be all right?
Let me see. Yes, those legs are quite reliable.
Yes, they've carried me a long way. Oh, you mean the chair's legs?
Miss Greenwood, this is an educational institution. I didn't ask you here to discuss your lower limbs.
I see. You specialize in the higher branches.
Yes. Miss Greenwood, yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, you had a call from our Professor Cady.
Oh, did you send that man? Miss Aintree, what is this all about?
Now, there's no use pretending you don't know why I sent for you. I mean to have the truth. I intend to save my school from any scandal.
Scandal? I'm amazed, but why did you send for me?
Yes, come in.
You wanted to see me, Miss Aintree?
Yes, Miss Coleman. It goes without saying that you know Miss Greenwood.
Why, no, I don't.
How do you do, Miss Greenwood?
Miss Coleman, this is a great pleasure. I've heard so much about you from my niece, Barbara Barton.
Oh, of course. One of the best pupils I ever had. How is she? We've sort of lost her.
Ladies, it really isn't necessary to play act.
I know you're well acquainted.
No, we've just met, but give us a chance.
In fact, I know all about this deplorable case.
What case?
Oh, very well. If you insist upon finding out just how much I know before you confess, I'll be very happy to tell you. Now, Miss Coleman, it's true, is it not, that you taught English at this school in 1934, 1935?
Well, yes, I left here in the spring of 1935.
And you returned to this school in 1937. You were reinstated as a teacher, and you've taught here ever since. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Then shall I tell you, Miss Coleman, or will you tell me? Just what did you do in the 2 years you were away from school?
Oh, well,
Well, go on. Just what did you do, Miss Coleman?
Well, I spent those 2 years with my family.
Your family, precisely. And your family consisted of your child.
But I didn't...
Oh, well, go on. Try to lie out of it.
Miss Aintree, I don't know any of the facts of this case, but I'm not going to stand here and see you intimidate this girl.
Oh, please, Miss Greenwood. There's no reason for you to get mixed up in this.
Oh, yes, there is. Because I happen to know that Miss Greenwood is raising your child.
Well, that is ridiculous.
You deny it?
I never saw Miss Coleman until she came into this room. If she has a child, which you still haven't proved, I know nothing about it.
Oh, really? Well, I have an envelope here in my desk. The return address on it is 403 Spring Street, Miss Greenwood, the Barton house where you live.
Yes, I live there.
And it's addressed to you, Miss Coleman, in a child's handwriting.
May I see it?
Oh, no, you don't. I'll keep this, because inside this envelope is the proof that everything I've said is true.
Well, how do you know that? You can't open another person's mail.
I don't make a practice of it, Miss Greenwood. But fortunately, when this envelope was received yesterday, it wasn't sealed, and the contents fell out on the floor and were noticed by our mail clerk. In this envelope, Miss Coleman, is a Mother's Day card for you.
But my little girl couldn't have...
Oh, so your child's a girl. And a minute ago you were trying to deny that you had any child.
Now, look, Miss Aintree, obviously there's a mistake here.
Miss Greenwood, the mistake was your helping to conceal a situation that can ruin my school.
That's absurd.
Oh, is it? You're raising the Barton children. You certainly have room for one more.
But it's not true. My girl's in a boarding school in Chicago, and it's
I
not...
don't care for any of the details, Miss Coleman. You're dismissed from the faculty at once.
Where will I go? What will I do?
Come now. Here's a handkerchief. You're coming home with me. Miss Aintree is right about one thing at least.
What do you mean?
In the Barton home, we do have room for one more. Now, Miss Coleman, now you're all settled. There are clean towels in that cupboard. Let's go down to the living room, shall we?
Oh, I know I'm crowding you, moving in nicely.
Not at all. The Barton house is like a bus. Doesn't matter how many people you crowd in as long as you don't push out the driver. Besides, maybe we'll have you back in school in a day or two.
But how? Miss Aintree won't ever let me come back again.
We'll see. Now, you sit down and make yourself at home, Miss Coleman. Oh, wouldn't it be simpler if I just called you by your first name?
I wish you would. It's Julia. And it really isn't Miss Coleman at all. It's really Mrs. Wallace.
I was positive we were missing a Mrs. Why didn't you tell Miss Aintree?
Well, I couldn't. You see, when I left the school back in 1935, I got married. And then Jim died before the baby was born, and I had to work to support her. So I went back to Miss Aintree and asked for my old job.
And you didn't tell her that you'd been married?
No, because I needed the job so badly. I knew there was a rule against married two sisters. So I went back to my maiden name, and I put Mary, my little girl, in a home in Chicago.
I bet she's a pretty big girl by now.
Yes, she must be. I haven't seen her for 5 years.
Oh, for goodness sake, why not?
Well, I used to go there once a month, but people started noticing, and I was afraid somebody would find out and tell the school. I had to keep my job. I had to support her.
You poor child. I understand.
Oh, Miss Greenwood, nobody ever would have found out if it hadn't been for that card. I wonder who in the world could have sent that.
Excuse me, Julia.
good evening, Charlotte.
Greetings, Miss Greenwood.
Boys, you got here early.
Why, naturally, Charlotte. When you called us up and asked us to come over, we hurried.
Yes, quite. You said you had a charming guest you wanted to meet.
Mm-hmm. She's right here in the living room. Come in, boys. This is Mrs. Wallace, or rather, let's call her Miss Coleman. It's handier. I want you to meet Judge Cronin and Mr. Anderson, the managing editor of the Dispatch.
Thank you. Well, it certainly was nice of you to ask us over, Charlotte.
Yes, I'm certain that in such delightful company we can have a very pleasant evening.
That's exactly what I thought. Now, you, Mr. Anderson, you're such a witty and interesting conversationalist.
Why, somebody tell me.
And you, Judge Cronin, you're such a delightful raconteur. And shall I say, bon vivant enfant?
Yes, please do. What's it mean?
I was positive that we could have a wonderful evening together.
Oh?
And so, I have a job for both of you. Boys, you've got to go to work.
Miss Greenwood, Judge Cronin and Mr. Anderson said they'd be sure to have something definite by this morning. And here it is, almost noon.
Don't fret, Julia. This is going to work out all right.
But how can it? No matter what they do.
That's probably one of them now. Wait a minute.
Well, I got it, Charlotte. I got it. This is going to knock old Aintree right off her perch.
What is it, Mr. Anderson?
Oh, good morning, Miss Coleman. Why, as Charlotte suggested last evening, I went down to the newspaper morgue and spent the rest of the night going through the files, trying to find if the Barton estate had ever had a controlling interest in Miss Aintrie's school.
Mr. Barton was one of the directors, and I thought there might be a way of getting you back at school, Julia.
Well, I didn't find that, but I did run across this. Get a load of this news story that was killed way back in 1916. Read it, Charlotte.
Aintree Carter wedding canceled. Groom leaves town.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Miss Aintree was all set to marry a fellow by the name of Nelson Carter. The day before the wedding, he said, "Dear, I've just remembered I've got another wife."
Good heavens.
Yeah, and look, here's why the story was never printed. Just read this memo from the publisher of the paper.
John Barton requests us to stop this story as it will cause Miss Aintree unnecessary embarrassment.
But, oh, brother, will she be embarrassed when we show it to her now? If I threaten to print this, she'll do anything to stop the story from getting out.
No, Mr. Anderson, we can't get Miss Coleman back at the school that way.
But, Charlotte,
No. Now, who can that be? Excuse me. Oh, Judge Cronin.
Good morning, Miss Greenwood. I brought Miss Aintree, as you asked.
Oh, do come in, Miss Aintree.
Judge Cronin stopped at my office and explained about Miss Coleman. I felt that I should come over and apologize to her.
Oh, thank you very much. That's fine of you. She's right here. Miss Coleman.
Yes? Oh, good morning, Miss Aintree.
Miss Coleman, I misjudged you yesterday. Not knowing the full facts, I made certain inferences which I have since found untrue, and I'm very sorry.
Oh, well, of course. It was only natural to assume what you did.
And now, Miss Aintree, can she have her job back?
I'm sorry, but the rules of the school expressly forbid married teachers, and the rules cannot be broken.
Yes, I'm afraid she's right, Miss Greenwood. As you requested, I spent most of last night checking up on legal precedent in cases of this kind.
So I'll bid you all good morning.
Miss Aintree, before you go...
Yes?
What do you hear from Nelson Carter?
Nelson Carter? How did you know about that?
Mr. Anderson, I asked you not to mention that.
Well...
I thought that was buried forever. Completely forgotten.
It has been forgotten, Miss Aintree, but evidently not buried deep enough in the newspaper files. But believe me, it'll never be mentioned again.
But no part of that scandal was my fault. I was perfectly innocent.
Of course you were. And Miss Coleman is, too. But if Mr. Barton hadn't helped you, there might have been malicious gossip, and you might have lost your school. Just as there'll be gossip about Miss Coleman, and she may lose all her chances of teaching again, Miss Aintree. Unless you help her.
But how can I? After all, there's a rule made by the Board of Regents that married women can't teach.
Miss Aintree, the Board of Regents does permit married women to teach if their children attend the school.
Why, yes. Yes, that's right. But I didn't realize it until this minute, that circumstances were such that this child can be admitted. Miss Coleman, I do want you to come back.
And I can bring my little girl here to Lakeview. And we'll be together.
Yes, my dear.
Oh, Miss Aintree, I love you for that.
Yeah, I kind of like you now myself. Yes, even I do.
Now, here, boys. Now, don't I get any attention?
Well, she was the one.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't know anybody was here.
Oh, that's all right, Robert. Oh, this is my nephew, Miss Aintree and Miss Coleman.
Oh, Miss Coleman. She's the one I sent the card to.
I thought so, Robert. But why did you send that kind of a card?
Well, you said to remember our friends, and it didn't look like Barbara was going to, so I bought a card and sent it to her.
Yes, but it was a Mother's Day card.
Well, you said teachers are mothers, and a friend indeed is a friend indeed.
Huh?
A friend in need is a friend in need.
What?
Oh, I'm off the beam again.
No. Thanks to you, Robert, we're all back on the beam again. Come on, folks, let's have lunch.
The Hallmark Charlotte Greenwood Show was written by Jack Hasty and D.H. Johnson and directed by Thomas Freebairn Smith. By special arrangement, the featured players were Miss Beulah Bondi in the role of Miss Aintree and Ransom Sherman, who played the part of Professor Cady. Others in the regular cast with Miss Greenwood were John Brown, Charles Cantor, and Edward Ryan, who appeared through the courtesy of 20th Century Fox. And now, Charlotte Greenwood.
Friends, the President of the United States has proclaimed today a special day of prayer and thanksgiving. Let us unite in a moment of silent prayer, and then will you join us as we say the Lord's Prayer? Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
Program came to you from Hollywood.
Radio's Hall of Fame with Paul Whiteman's orchestra and guest stars follows immediately over most of these stations. This is the Blue Network of the American Broadcasting Company.